These three books right here will change your life if you let them. There's only two prerequisites. One, you have to want change, and two, implementation and consistency of implementation. Okay, that might have been three things, but that works out because it's three books. So first and foremost, if you're in a place where you desire to change, whether it's because you're tired of anxiety, you're tired of being overworked, or you're tired of feeling like there's this quiet tension that sits beneath the surface, from my perspective, a very important foundational thing to recognize is that we've been conditioned, okay? Now, this is not to incite a revolt. There's plenty of people that are doing that. But if you're familiar with Alan Watts, it's in that category of thought. So it's recognizing that as a society, we've been conditioned to be in a fight or flight state the bulk of our days. In fact, we've been conditioned through school to be this way and to let go of our creative flow, what we've actually come here to do. And if that sounds woo-woo, I get it, but bear with me, okay? So a couple of these books lean into that woo-woo category. You could say potentially all three. One of them is definitely more of a grounded, if you will, analytical perspective. But for me, I reached a space in my journey where I recognized inevitably that there was some form of woo-woo thing going on here. Because if you try to rationalize everything by order, it falls apart at the most basic level. Quantum physics shows us that, right? And so we've been conditioned to look at where do we fix things outside of ourselves, when in reality there's so much benefit in what we can do within ourselves, okay? So the first thing that I want to say, and just to, I came from a background where I was not woo-woo, okay? In fact, very resistant to anything religious. And I'm not saying you can manifest a Lamborghini outside your house tomorrow, but let's dive into it, okay? So first woo-woo book, kind of, right, is Strength in Stillness. If you've ever heard of transcendental meditation before, this is a great book to introduce the idea of what transcendental meditation is, and also, from my perspective, to illustrate the massive benefits of meditation as a whole. In the book, it describes three different types of meditation. I think it's all perspective. I think that at the end of the day, the Western society has been conditioned to put things in pockets, a 15-minute meditation or a 15-minute yoga, this sort of thing, when in reality, those in the East live principles of meditation and yoga in their daily life, or so many in the East. That's what this all comes from, right? But what you'll note, like if you're someone who is rooted in more analytical thought and structured thought, there's space for that, right? And so I think that the benefit of this book is that you get to hear from so many people that you'll recognize in the intro and in the outro. You're like, okay, then, perhaps there's something here. One that I think is worth mentioning is Ray Dalio has a fantastic blurb about this book and about transcendental meditation. If you're not familiar with him, not saying he's God or some shit, but he's one of those people that's just really, really good at seeing the trends in the patterns in our world, right? Let's just put it there, leave it at that. There's many others. And some of them, there might be part of you if you're invested in politics energetically. Some of the names you might see, I don't know, but you got to let go of that. And the only reason I say it is because I have a very good friend who has that, and he's working through it in his own way. It's beautiful. So that, I think, when I say these three books can change your life if you let them, and I think that's how I started this video. What I mean is take what resonates and leave what doesn't. I think that this is a great entry point to show the value of incorporating meditation. And you likely know that, but it's like, how do we set ourselves up to where we're consistently doing that? And I will say a quick nod towards something you can grab from my page. There's a download of the 7 core principles. Right now it's 7 core principles, but I am reshaping it. Either way, whenever you see this video, you can go and download a core framework of things that you can implement in your life to help set yourself up to be able to take in a lot of this stuff and go deeper with it. Now, it's not a prerequisite. You certainly don't need that. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Same thing with everything that I say in any of my videos, right? So, okay. So we're going to pull back to the grounded side. This one is Rest, okay? Rest is a great book. I learned about rest by listening to someone that I learned from in the realm of content creation, impact and service and things like that. Very knowledgeable dude. And I was like, you know what? That sounds like a book I could benefit from. There's a chapter in this book that is focused, it's called 4 Hours, and it's focused on essentially the 4-hour workday. Now, if you're someone that currently works, whatever, 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, maybe you're a double shift person or whatever, the intention of this is to take a step out to the macro perspective and look at how I can reorchestrate my life, reverse engineer my life based on what those before me have shown works the most efficiently when I look at it all and I make my conscious perspective of what makes sense to me, and then I focus on that, right? And how do I align for that? So, right, so you're thinking, oh, 4 hour, wouldn't that be nice? 4-hour work, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, maybe download the guide or find some books, go deeper within yourself, let go of the tension, create clarity in your life, let go of the screens in the first hour and the last hour of the day, tune out the toxic people, allow yourself to, toxic relationships, allow yourself to come back to like a center presence, right? And then think, well, what could I do to put myself in this direction? And I'll do more content about this, but in the world we're living in now, if you have anything that you know well, or that you're passionate about, or that you're curious about, you want to learn, dude, there's so many ways to pair, so many ways to pair content creation. And you don't have to be on the video, although it'd be valuable if you were. You don't have to, but there's so many ways to pair content creation or documentate your process or help and share what you know with others in a way that serves people, in a way that feels good to you and generates an income that you can feel good about and have a 4-hour workday. Okay, a little bit of a tangent. The reason I went down that tangent is because I know a historical version of myself. I'm like, yeah, okay, 4-hour workday. What else this guy's got, or what else this guy have? This is a valuable point, okay? So let's think about it, all right? I'm going to read one little excerpt from this book, whatever you want to call it, which I think is great. So despite their differences in personality and the different quality of their achievements, both Darwin and Lubbock managed something that seemed increasingly alien today. Their lives were full and memorable, their work was prodigious, and yet their days are also filled with downtime. This looks like a contradiction, or a balance that's beyond the reach for most of us. It's not. As we will see, Darwin and Lubbock and many other creative and productive figures weren't accomplished despite their leisure. They were accomplished because of it. And even in today's 24/7 always-on world, we can learn how to blend work and rest together in ways that make us smarter, more creative, and happier. And it goes on to say Darwin's not the only famous scientist who combined a lifelong dedication to science with apparently short working hours. There's many others that they list here. Some of the names I can't pronounce, but Winston Churchill's one. Ooh, there was a great quote at the beginning of this too, by William Osler. 4 or 5 hours daily. It's not much to ask, but one day must tell another. 1 week certify another, 1 month bear witness to another of the same story, and you will acquire a habit by which the 1-talent man will earn a high interest, and by which the 10-talent man may at least save his capital. Okay, where's the camera hole? All right, so it's a fucking great book, okay? And it's one of the ones that I talk to a lot of people about because it helps shake up the story. There are so many notable, influential, positively impactful individuals in our history and in our present day that live like this. We've been conditioned to stay in the rat race. The most valuable thing we can do is decondition that and realign ourselves for a life that's more fulfilling like that, right? And so if that helps, hopefully it does. Quick side note, 2 of these books, you could say, have an offer in them. Transcendental meditation, the offer is essentially, in order for you to do it, you need to link up with somebody that's affiliated with it or whatever, and then you pay them a fee to work with them, and then they end up giving you your unique mantra. I personally, although I have invested in my growth in the past in many different ways, for me, what felt the best was to find my own mantra. And I recognize that there may be individuals who are devout transcendental meditation, people that, well, that's not the way. I get it. But I would then say, in what you resist and judge in others, there's still yet growth to be had. Not to saying that I've transcended all of that, but I've certainly made some solid headway. So I reached a space where I'm like, yes, this is something that I really want to tap into. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to research, use AI and research and double check the research that I do and find different forms of mantras and their meanings, and really sit and meditate with that and see which one feels the most aligned for me. And then I'm going to follow the principles of transcendental meditation with that, right? That's what feels most aligned to me, but, whatever feels good to you. Now, the next book is by an author, Dr. Wayne Dyer. You may have heard of this guy before. He's got some immaculate, amazing principles to teach with. But there's certain, for the analytical mind, there may be certain elements in this book or certain places in this book that the analytical mind's like, dude, the world doesn't work that way. But that's that tension we need to look to let go of. So the offer in this is he talks about something called japa meditation, okay? Which I've learned a little bit about, but I haven't dove into it because there is some kind of a associated, like you have to kind of, as I understand it, be part of a thing and that sort of stuff. But oftentimes when I read stuff like this, I'm like, okay, so essentially we're talking about meditation. We're talking about a form of meditation, and then I move forward, right? And I take what resonates and I leave what doesn't, And so that's why back to these 3 books have the power to transform your life, but it's not by taking every word as the gospel or the literal gospel, right? And I think a quick note to the Bible, not that I'm a religious scholar, but as I look at it, we've been conditioned to look at many words in the Bible from a literal perspective, but it was written from more of a metaphorical perspective. If you're into that sort of stuff, Neville Goddard is a great segue point between what the Bible versus the more aligned meanings mean. And I realize that could stir up some stuff out there, but we're going to leave it anyway. So yeah, man, it's take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I think the core message here is to find a way to make space for your mind. And oftentimes the first starting point there is how much unconscious screen consumption we have and how many conversations are we a part of or around or involved in that are draining our energy scientifically. This is fucking huge. And then we need an uptick in nature exposure somehow, right, in our daily life. Clear more space for your mind so you can live a more fulfilling and joyous life where you don't have that underlying tension. And I'm not speaking any of this from a perch of like, I'm all done now. I continue to learn and grow. And with the clients that I'm blessed to work with, not trying to plug that, I show that in my sessions with them. Like, I'll stop and be like, oh, I just did a thing. Look at that, and I'll talk about it, right? So it's a continued growth path that you begin to find the fruit along the path as soon as you begin, but it continues to unfold the rest of your life. Why wouldn't it be that way? Why would, and also, if we think, well, why isn't it easier to see? Well, what the fuck would the point be if it was easier to see? Right? There wouldn't be the vast amount of potential growth in this world, that we have. Last bit, we've been conditioned to think we live one life. What if that's not true? There's so much evidence out there that points to the contrary, and science is not a hard stop, Trust the science is a statement, and I'm not political, that's out there, but that's silly. Science is always evolving. The recent 3 decades, holy shit. So we might have ended up over 10 minutes, but I feel like this was good stuff. So I hope it was helpful. And if you'd like a grounded guide to help you along the path, you don't have to put your email in or anything like that. Just go to the link and click the download button. And yeah, if you find benefit in it, let me know. Or if you have any questions, feel free to email me and or comment below. And we'll see you on the next video. Thanks.